Hey guys, welcome. I'm Katie, and I'm adding up Addington. I'm coming at you from my kids' treehouse today because it's gorgeous, and I have kids napping inside. So this seemed like a good option. We'll see how it goes. If this is your first time here, thanks for stopping by. I'm a mother of 8. We own our own business. We homeschool all of our kids. We are former foster parents. We are adoptive parents. We are a multiracial family. Basically, we just stand out wherever we go. And so in this space, I want to sit down and just chat and answer all the questions that people love to ask me, but I never get a chance to get to. So grab your coffee, sit down with me, and hit that subscribe button. Stick around with us. All right, so today I want to talk about things that most people probably don't know about foster care, but you should. Now, I say this as someone who didn't know most of these things before becoming a foster parent myself, and they're questions that I get asked often or things that I find people don't really understand. So I want to just address them. So if you are out there and you are thinking about going into foster care, or you've ever thought about going into foster care, or maybe you've never thought about it, but you don't know these things. So here we go. Number 1 is there is a need. There is always a need. At any given point in time, on any given day, their estimates reach somewhere around 440,000 children in foster care in the United States on any given day. That's a lot of kids. So there is a need, and the thing is that there's always a recurring need, because as soon as one case is resolved, another comes up. And if one family takes a placement, they can't take the next placement. Or if one family adopts and has to be closed because they have too many kids, like we did, now they're down a foster home. So there is always a need. I know in our county alone, there are somewhere close to 600 to 700 kids most of the time in state custody. Even if you don't hear about it in your area, I promise you, there are kids in your backyard that need a safe home. Next is that, yes, you can probably do foster care. There are very few things that would preclude you from being a foster parent. I get asked, can I do it even if I'm single? Yes. Some of my best friends are single foster and adoptive moms. Can you do it if you have a history of mental health issues? Most of the time, yes. Generalized depression and anxiety don't cut you off from doing foster care. A lot of them being like diabetic or that kind of thing doesn't preclude you from doing foster care. Obviously, there are some more serious medical conditions that might, but for the most part, you can probably do it. The next one is something that I hear all the time, and maybe you've heard it too, maybe you've even said it. I could never foster because I would get too attached. First of all, let me say, a kid doesn't get into foster care on a whim. If a child is in foster care, something went very horribly wrong in their lives and in their family's life. What they need is for you to get attached. They need you to love them unconditionally and cherish them for who they are and teach them what it means to be valuable and confident and know that they deserve to be loved. Because so many of these kids come in without that. And so if you get attached and the kids go back to an improved home life, You did your job. And yes, it hurts, but that's the point. If you did it right, if you attached well to that child, that was what they needed, and you did it right. Next up, the kids in foster care are not bad kids. These kids are not there because they did something wrong. They're there because something in their life fundamentally failed them. Yes, they've been hurt. And yes, a lot of times they react to that, but let me just tell you, any other kids you're adopting, there was a loss that happened there too, and you won't escape that by going another route. Next up is DCS, which in our state, that's what we call it, the Department of Children's Services. They're not the bad guy. Everybody has seen the very inflammatory news articles that come out every once in a while about a child that was removed from their home for walking down the block. Y'all, that is not what they are out to do. Most of the time when DCS is out removing kids from their families, it is situations that you want these kids removed from. On the flip side of that, neither are they total heroes. It can be really frustrating to be attached to a child and know that DCS has an obligation not only to act in the best interests of the child, but also to protect parents' rights, and that's a really hard pill to swallow sometimes. But at the same time, you don't want them removing kids for no reason. You don't want them blowing off parents because they feel like it. Sometimes there is no perfect solution. Sometimes there isn't a perfect way to both honor parent and family rights and find the best interests of the child, and I guarantee you every single caseworker out there is trying, and they're not the bad guy, but neither are they the heroes. Let me tell you, DCS, or whatever it's called in your state, they are overworked, underfunded, tired, unappreciated, and they're all just trying to do the best they can. All right, here's maybe the biggest thing I find that people don't know, and I guess I probably didn't even know it either. There is no legal cost associated with adopting from foster care. That's right. The government pays for your adoption. Now, this looks a little bit different depending on your state. For us, there's absolutely zero out-of-pocket costs for our lawyer or the court fees or anything like that. It's free. And in fact, in a lot of places, and it's not the same everywhere, so look up your area. Don't take my word for it. Look up your area. In a lot of places, kids will qualify for continued government assistance even after their adoption. And that is just to help with all the things that it takes to take on another child. So I have heard so many people say, oh gosh, I wish the government would make adoption cheaper. But people also don't realize that the government has made adoption cheaper. It's called foster care. Which brings me to my final point, is that foster care looks different. And I'm going to speak specifically to adoption from foster care right now. Because not all foster care is pre-adoptive. You can be a foster parent and just foster and help rehabilitate families and bring them back together, and that's awesome. And that's what we set out to do, and God just had other plans for our girls. But it's gonna look different than other forms of adoption. But most of the time, you don't get a big case file about this child with pictures and get the chance to decide which kid. You're gonna get a phone call at 3 a.m. with, the poor on-call caseworker asking if they can drop somebody off in the middle of the night with no shoes on. If the idea of working with birth families totally freaks you out, then foster care is probably not for you, because you'll bring kids to visits. We have driven birth parents to appointments when they didn't have transportation. You will know who they are, you will be involved, and chances are you'll be involved for a long time. The ultimate goal of foster care is to reunite families wherever possible. You may have a child in your home and not legally be their parent for years. Our younger girls were in our home for over a year before their adoption was finalized. And that's not a long time in the world of foster care. Well, I will end the same way that I started. There is a need. If I've stirred up your interest at all, I encourage you to look up your own state's website on foster care and see what the needs are and how to get involved. If you have a bed, there's a kid who needs it. If you have any other questions about foster care or adoption from foster care, leave those down in the comments for me. And let me know if you are considering foster care or if you are a foster parent yourself. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.